Don't be contained. Don't follow a model. Like, grow wild. And you're gonna face way more pushback doing that. But just being like, nope, I'm just gonna be completely free as me, and I don't care. I mean, I'm gonna behave in a benevolent way. It's not like I don't care in a malevolent way. Like, I'm going to plow you over if you get in the way. It's like, no, I'm not going out of my way to hurt anybody, but I'm also not going to conform to anything, because that's the expectations of what's been done before. So it's like being wild in a benevolent way. That's a creative life, you know, and people are going to go, oh yeah, you can't do that and this and that. But there's a lot of people who are going to go, oh yeah, I'm going to do that too. I mean, don't you want to live in a world where people are wildly creative and benevolent, who really care about each other? You know, like, that's how I want to live. I don't want to live in a world where it's like everybody's just kind of normal.
Yeah.
And just being nice. Like,
yeah.
Well, the world will just, like we said, nature will just keep restoring the balance. That's why, I mean, like, it's not something to be really concerned about. Like, what are we going to do? Like, people go into that place, like, we're in really serious trouble and we're doomed kind of mentality. It's like, that can't happen. It can happen from, if you think in the way of like, oh, humans are the most important thing on planet Earth. Sure, you could feel like that, but it's not true.
Right.
They're not the most important thing. You know what's the most important thing on planet Earth? Planet Earth as a whole. It's a whole bunch of symbiotic relationships. Without these plants, humans aren't here, you know? But humans could go away, or they could stick around, you know? So it's like, there's always going to be a balance. But as soon as you start identifying with, my personal life is the most important thing, there's a disconnect. And so if you allow yourself to be free and wild, you're just living like nature does. You know, do you think these trees are growing in a way where they have some expectation that they're supposed to behave a certain way? Mm-hmm. No. You know, are they growing in a way where they're trying to cause harm to the world because they're selfishly going to take over? No. They're just growing, you know.
So what do you recommend as a mentality or a way of thinking about balancing a wild life with a life in the marketplace?
Well, you just learn to play the game, and you treat it as a game. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't treat it as, this is the supreme reality. You know, it's like, you have these things. You have a personality, you have a mind, you have the capacity to make money, you have the capacity to create, but you don't look at it as like, you know, if I don't do this, what will people say, or will I be validated? You just go out and you make tons of mistakes and you have tons of successes and you see who you are in relationship to that. That's freedom. You know, isn't that how you want to live? You know, it would be nice if everything that you did went really well and you made money and all your family was just happy and everybody had a great time. Yeah, that's the goal, but it's not going to happen like that. You know, and actually that's a wonderful thing. Even though you may think, well, is it wonderful? Like, I don't want to go through all of those, you know, pain and suffering. But you watch nature, it needs that. You know, it's like, sometimes the forest needs to be burned to the ground for it to grow up. You know, or even when I was in New Mexico, somebody was saying that some of the trees there in the desert get so hot that they'll actually explode because they're holding so much heat. Well, if you looked at it from an individual standpoint, like, this tree is the most important thing in the desert, then you think, isn't that terrible? You know, but the reality is that tree is part of a whole ecosystem, and the heat needs to come out of the earth in some way, so it came out through the tree. It's no big deal. It's just nature being nature. And you're lucky because you're human and you have this capacity to do all kinds of things. These trees, they have a very limited way that they can create. They're beautiful and wonderful. Well, you have so many possibilities. And if you go, oh, I'm just going to stay here and and play small and not go out and play the game, or what will people say about me if I wear this or don't wear this, or all of the, if I'm thinner then people will really love me. Like, what if you could just shake all of that off and just be like, I'm living, I'm alive, and in theory it's easy to go, okay, yeah, let's just do that. And you're still going to come up against that pressure, and maybe coming up against that mental pressure and pushing through it, maybe that's how growth works. Maybe that's the process. Maybe that's how it goes, and so instead of avoiding it, being like, great, another barrier to break through, and you crash through it. Look at it is a very Western thing, yes. Also to the way we even treat nature. Like, nature must be conquered and we have dominion over it, and aren't humans important? And I love we might have talked about this in the podcast, but I love the paintings from China and Japan where it'll be like, man drinking wine by moonlight, and it'll be this huge painting, and all you'll see is jungle and mountain. And if you look really close, there's like a tiny little guy like sitting on a bench drinking wine. And you think, it really represents our attitude towards nature, especially as a Western person versus an Eastern person. It's like, you are a small piece of all of this. And if you acknowledge that and embrace the wild side of that and be yourself, I mean, there's freedom in that. And we've been told that we need to control it, and we need to contain it, and we need to, and look at the practices that we've taken on with farming, and the way we treat the planet Earth, and the way we disconnect ourselves from who we are. It's absurd. It's like, your flesh and bones are the earth. You're made of water. Your brain is made of 90% water. Like, your brain is not made of thoughts, it's made of water. It's like more than anything. So the more we can connect to this, the more free you are. And then you can live within the city and create things and enjoy your capacity to do it, but you do it from a very free way, the way nature functions.